Quite a rainy day today. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. This is, I thought I'd show you this because this is what we want. So it's currently raining, I'm getting dripped on. Well, this is like a fine spray, but on this part remains fairly dry. I mean, the water here is just it was very heavy, so it's just come in from the outside and watered our plants, which is fine. These containers are all dry, which is what you want, apart from these two. At the end, the cardboard got wet just because they were sat there. But you can see just how dormant the flies are. Last night they were running around, but it's the temperature, you see, because it's 16 degrees in here, which is very low. So I think they don't like the cold, so they just all, you can see them all just sat everywhere, just waiting for it to warm up a bit. But yeah, it's part of the good design of this, that you don't, because they need a bit of water. For flies, they can't eat, but they can drink, and so the water just allows them to keep hydrated. And then in here we sort of put this mesh in at the top, just a bit of light and ventilation, and now we found that actually it was pretty intense. I think it must have come in from the sides, and it's got the bays wet, which is, it's not too bad, except for down here we've got puddles of water, and then of course the larvae, the pre-pupa, have all tried to escape, so they've all come out. There's a bunch of them on the floor in this puddle as well, so we might have to do a bit of redesign work just to stop. And then of course we've got papers on the walls and notebooks and things, so we need to maybe just have a think about where we put that. And then even our hammer mill's got a bit wet, which I think is fine, to be honest, but we just want best practices, things not to get too saggy. You can see it's a little bit soggy in here because of the rain. But yeah, we've just missed the chicken coming through and packing the larvae. They love them. And then we've got our maggots are in here. I might just give that a turn in a second just so you can see them, but they are doing well. This grayer stuff is some household waste which has been shredded. It's a bit low. You can see all the maggots coming up, huddled together for warmth, probably. Not really. They do huddle together. So we just need to add a bit of our rice husks, a bit of sawdust into here, just to keep it nice and not too wet. That's what we want. And I'm going to try and go to the farm shortly once the rain's eased, because it always feels a bit strange if I haven't gone. I've made it to the farm. Thought you might like to see the finished drop toilet. So we've got visitors come, staff, they can use the facilities. We did pay staff yesterday, and I've just heard that there's nobody around, which is not great. But I think it does sometimes tend to happen if people go out and enjoy their paycheck. And you have to remember it's the January paycheck, so because we paid people early in December. It's been a wee while since people have had their cash. I did say to them at the time, I said, if you want us to pay you sort of 3 weeks in December, then pay you at the end of December, like for a week or something, we can do that, because it can be quite tight in January, sorry. But people didn't go for that, which is fair enough. Anyway, I'm coming to check up on how we're doing. We've added the male and female fish to Pond Dillon over there, so I'm going to have a look at that in a second. I don't think there'll be anything to see, to be honest, but you never know. And we got our second feed that's due at some point. I think Shivan left the maggots. I need to find those actually. I think she left them somewhere sensible, I'm sure. Yeah, there's no one around that I can see. At least could do with a bit of a tidy up. This is always the danger of making unannounced visits, is that you find things not quite as you might have left them. But I'll sort this out. The trial, of course, is here, so they've been fed this morning. I've got some happers ready here. I presume that is for when we're going to seine later on one of these ponds. and we'll put them in the happers. But yeah, happers are looking all right. You see the grass is growing, so it's actually rained today and yesterday, which is very unusual because we're in the dry season. And normally you might get 1 or 2 rain events sort of over 3 months, but we've had quite a few, so I suspect it's, changing rainfall patterns, possibly due to climate change. I mean, that's one of the predictions, so it could be down to that. Helps our grass anyway, but it does impact on crop growing. But yeah, anyway, let me go over to Dylan. There's a hammerkop. That's the type of thing you see you get birds come in. Those are the ones that we don't want because they eat fish. But if there's no one here, the bird nets haven't been put out yet. We got some new ones because they're a bit torn. Then, yeah. Let me go and show you Dylan and see if we can see any mating from the fish. It's a hammerkop, it's called. So if you can sort of see it, it's got like a crest on the top of its head, so it looks a bit like a hammer on the profile. See if I can get you a bit closer. Yeah, you see a sort of hammer-shaped head, hence the name. So I found the maggots, which is good. Well, they're ready to go, and we're just getting the staff down to make sure we get them fed. One of my philosophies is you should do everything possible within the business, every role, because at least then you can really understand what it's like to do certain jobs. So I've pretty much done everything, I think. Gutted fish, I've seined, I've dug ponds, I've chopped a substrate, I've gone around selling fish, all sorts of things. But I hadn't up until now been a security guard, and I guess now I am, so not bad. Anyway, we've now reached the pond. I can't actually, this is where we've put the males and females, but I can't see anything happening, which is as suspected. This is where the females were, as you can see it's been drained, and then we've got some excess males in that far pond. Always too many males around, not enough females. I think there's Ian arriving. But yeah, I can see some ripples there, but I can't see any action, which is, like I say, totally understandable. But they've been in here now for a week, and I think in a couple of weeks' time we should start to see some of the fry swimming up, which is good, because basically they will be in there making nests, that type of thing, breeding, producing the fry, and then the mouth brooders, remember, so the eggs, and then eventually the fry will go into the mother's mouth, and the female's mouth, and she will look after them until eventually get too big, and then that's when you start to see them because they swim up to the sides. But yeah, there we go. There's the pond. I think I'm going to be leaving shortly, and I guess I've got some other big news, which is that I personally will be leaving the country in the next few months. We've got some family reasons to go back to the UK, but my work with Rad does not finish, because there's plenty for us to be getting on with. I can do some stuff remotely. I'll be back into the country, just not coming every week. But yeah, I'll be very sad to leave. It's been an amazing time. I mean, maybe this is reflection time, right? I can still remember less than 2 years ago when we were digging out these ponds for the first time. And now look at us, we've got more at the cold room, so very exciting. Let me just have a chat with Ian.
A few moments later.
So, all sorted. Just going back now to where we have the ice place and the BSF. Yeah, well, I think I was reflecting, right? So yeah, it's been a very good time here in Uganda. We've really enjoyed it. I think what a treat to be able to do what we set up to do. And, my role has changed quite a lot since we started. And, I was never really the day-to-day. But now that we've got all these highly able staff, we certainly don't need me in the same way. And so, I'm like the troubleshooter, problem solver, big picture type thing. And I mean, that's that's what I've done this weekend. So we're not quite there. Solved some issues yesterday with just again with the egg laying, and this morning just with some of the hammer mill stuff, and of course at the site with people being absent. And you know, there's good reasons for those things. So that's sort of my role, and so there's definitely worth me being here. But it's, you know, I mean, a lot of what I can do remotely, and doesn't need my constant presence. You know, so I think coming occasionally is the thing. And I never set out to, I've talked about this before, but I've never set out to, it's not about me, it's not about what I can offer. And I think that's an important part of Rad's success, is that actually, I mean, you see my face mostly, but actually there's about 10 of us now, you know, some part-timers in that, who are just working away and actually making this thing work. And it's actually I would say it's their sort of work that's making the difference, having the impact. I was sort of always the catalyst, and came with the money and I guess the vision to do this. So I feel very pleased that we've achieved what we wanted to do, because it doesn't need me. So yeah, anyway, see you next time, and thanks for watching.